Hi, friends. So this is another episode. I'm Dylan.
Sam.
We're joined tonight with our buddy Doug Rood, the legendary Doug Rood, the world famous.
Oh boy.
We were able to record this one a little bit early. This is the week before Thanksgiving.
Or the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the week of Thanksgiving. And me and Sam are going to go to Florida again and visit her mom and get out of the shop for a few days. And Doug, what kind of Thanksgiving plans do you have, buddy?
Staying close to home here. We've got my in-laws live about a mile away, so do Thanksgiving at their house this year.
Awesome. That's helpful.
It is.
Well, buddy, I guess just introduce yourself. Where are you from? What do you do for a living? All that good stuff.
So we are from Southeast Michigan. We're just outside of Ann Arbor. Go Blue. We've been pulling indoors the Winter Series going on 23 years now.
Dang.
I work at a company called Paladin. We make attachments for skid steers, tractors, kind of compact size tractor equipment.
What was the name of the company?
What was that?
What was the name of the company?
Paladin. The brands underneath that are that we deal with directly are Sweepster, Harley, and FFC. So Harley Landscape Products.
Right.
And then we have 5 other companies or 5 other locations that have other companies within them. The ones out in Iowa, we have one in Tennessee, Minnesota, and Washington State. And we kind of all do our own thing, but we're all under the Paladin brand.
What do you do there?
Currently, I run a robotic welder.
Oh.
But I started I started out hand welding and then went to fabrication for 5 years, was in a paint line for 4 years, and then went back to welding just over a year ago. So I've been there just over 18 years now.
Wow. So do you do the programming on the robotic welders?
Nope. I slowly learning some of that stuff, but mainly I just load parts and push buttons.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what people think I do with my plasma table.
Yeah, just push buttons.
Yeah. So pronounce the town you guys are from, because I've seen it on your Facebook and I can't do it.
Oh, come on, man. It's pronounced Ypsilanti.
You Canadians got a weird way of saying stuff, I guess.
I can tell you've been talking with Wesley Bryant.
So you got a wife, kids, all that good stuff?
Have a wife. We've been married almost 18 years, 17 and a half years, I guess. And 2 boys. Have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow. I bet that's fun.
They are a bundle.
Yeah. What do your kids like to do? They in sports or anything?
Yep. They're, the older ones played soccer for a couple years now. The younger one's kind of getting into soccer, and they've both been in karate for about 3 years. So those are the 2 big things that they're into, and that keeps us busy enough during the week because those are all
I bet
during the evenings after school. So I get out of work, pick them up, cram dinner down their throat, and then go to practices. So
yeah, get a full stomach, then go do karate.
So do they ever gang up on you and whoop your butt?
Oh, they try, but they're not quite there yet.
Enjoy the next
It's
3
coming,
years.
but they're not quite there yet.
Do you have any animals, any pets?
Nope, no animals. Never. We had a couple growing up when we were younger, but never got into cats or dogs or anything. Had a gerbil and a guinea pig when we were younger, and I'm good with having no more animals.
Gotcha. Well, I guess we're going to get into our icebreakers. We've kind of had a little help with this, too. A couple people have thrown some ideas at us. But here we go.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Would you rather have a beach vacation or a cabin in the woods?
Cabin in the woods.
Any particular reason?
We never really grew up swimming. So, like,
Canada.
to me,
It's too cold.
so to me, like, water, oceans, whatever, like, they're cool to see. And then I'm like, okay, let's go do something, learn something.
So have you been to the ocean?
Oh, yes. I've been to the Gulf quite a few times. I've been to both the Atlantic, Pacific. Been to all 5 of the Great Lakes. I've been around water enough, but
Right.
that's definitely not like my number one destination to go to. My wife actually surprised me this summer. She completely planned a vacation, and I did not know where we were going until we got through security at the airport.
Oh.
That's fun.
And it feels stressful to me.
Why? You don't have to do anything.
I guess.
Yes, but it is 100%. You are trusting that person, because how do you pack?
Right.
Well, I would have packed for you. You know?
Well, it would have been easy enough. But I asked her, I was like, so how am I supposed to pack? And she's like, I need swim trunks, shorts, and golf shirts. I'm like, okay.
So
that's what I packed.
Alaska.
Yeah.
So it actually was really surprising. She took me to Cancun.
Oh, wow.
Definitely not a place that I would have picked out of a lineup. But she had some excursions built in that got us away from, the normal beach scene. So we got to see Chichen Itza, which is one of the new 7 wonders of the world. That's a couple hours from Cancun. Catamaran. There's a big park down there, kind of like it'd be kind of their version of an amusement park without rides, so to speak. They had a couple boat rides, like river rides that kind of went through history, Mayan history and stuff. Kind of a mix between like a zoo and amusement park sort of thing. That was really cool. Really enjoyed that.
I'll tell you what, I wasn't much of a beach person myself. I worked on the river right out of high school. I worked on towboats, and to me that was enough water for a while. And I always kind of had the attitude that I didn't lose anything at the beach. What do I need to go for? And we went a couple months ago down to see her mom in Pensacola, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. That was a good time for me. Looking forward to going back, honestly. It's not something I would have picked normally, but I enjoyed it down there myself.
Typically, I try to find the places where there's a beach and then there's something cool by the beach,
right?
that I want to go see.
There's a museum down there that we were wanting to go see, but we found out you got to have the real ID now, and neither one of us have that. Sam was actually stationed
at Pensacola,
And what was that museum that I wanted to go to? I don't even remember.
It was just a naval
Yep, the Naval Museum.
aviation museum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We actually, one of the coolest things that I got to do in April, we bowled nationals in Baton Rouge, and me and a buddy drove down, and we hit the timing just right where the Blue Angels are practicing on Tuesday mornings. And so we got to go watch them practice in the morning and then got to go through the museum right after that.
That's really cool.
That was the cool thing about being stationed there, because where I was going to school, like, I was in the hangar where the Blue Angels were, you know.
Nice.
So, like, when I graduated that class, our, like, graduation picture was in front of the Blue Angels, you know.
That's
At the
awesome.
time, I was like, yeah, it's just a cool aviation thing, you know. I honestly, so this is how I didn't know how famous they were when I went, because I wasn't into aviation before I worked in aviation. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely where we live at. I don't know if you've ever heard of Willow Run. That's actually where they built the bombers. They had a huge bomber plant there.
Wow.
So they do an air show up here every summer, and every 2-3 years the Blue Angels end up there. So when they're doing practice sessions and stuff, we'll hear them rip across over the house every once in a while.
It's crazy.
But definitely way better sitting on the flight line in Pensacola. That sends chills up your spine.
Yeah, that'd be neat. So back to our questions. That was all really cool. I like hearing that stuff. Got a couple trivia questions for you.
Okay.
Who won the 2007 Pro Stock Championship for the NQS Point Series?
Ooh,
I heard you're pretty good on history.
2007.
Yeah.
My best guess, I've got two people that I'm going to throw out there, and they're both potential. Jimmy Morgenstern or Russ Nichols.
You were wrong on that one. It was Julian Stahl.
Okay.
At least that's the information I got. I'll put it that way.
They had a couple good pro stack years back in there. They're mainly the later years were all super, but they did have some good pro stack years back in there. I guess I didn't realize they'd ever won a championship, but
Who won the 2011 Stock Altered 1050 points championship?
Oof. So that would have been, I think that was the full year. I think 2010 was the short year.
I closed the laptop since I wrote these down, so I couldn't tell you on that.
That probably would have been before Ronenbaum, maybe a Voorhees.
Yep, got that one right.
Whew.
2003 30 cube points.
Ooh, 2003 was probably Russ.
Correct. 2004.
Probably Russ again.
I'm pretty sure it was you. I just threw that one in.
Well, okay, yeah.
Any
0405. It depends how it was wrote, because we ran, the hard part is it starts in 04 and ended in 05.
Yeah.
So if you do by the start of the year, then we won 04 and 05.
Gotcha.
if you look back in there, there was a lot of them that were won. The same person won like 2 or 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few of them were doubled up through there. Hefner's had a couple back in there. Larkin's had a couple back in there. But, yep.
You got any guesses who sent me that and wanted me to quiz you?
Andy Peters.
Yeah. Yeah, it was him.
I don't remember what we were talking about at one point, and I remember stupid crap like that, but I don't remember stuff that I actually should remember. And
I understand.
we were talking about something, and I started whipping stuff out, and he's like, "You're like the NQS historian."
Would you go to space?
I don't know if I would ever like get in a spacecraft, shuttle, whatever, and go to space. What fascinates me is the everything that it takes to get up there and get back. I I have said probably more my fair share of, especially like the Apollo guys. They were absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Well, Dylan sent me that screenshot earlier of you asking if we were going to stop at NASA.
Yep.
And at first, I was like, oh, is that a tractor pulling term? I don't know. So I replied with, like, spaceships. And then I asked if you worked at NASA because I didn't know where you lived or what you did. So I was just all sorts of confused.
I told her you probably could work at NASA. I got high hopes for you, buddy.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's I really enjoy researching and watching documentaries and stuff on the space program. I haven't really got too much into the newer kind of the current stuff. I really enjoyed the Apollo, the shuttle program. I've been to Cape Canaveral, been to Houston, and then Huntsville. That same trip that we stopped in Pensacola, Monday we stopped in Huntsville, and that was where the Saturn V was designed. So that was the big majority of information in Huntsville was on the Saturn V rocket.
That'd be neat.
Which is really cool. Just the size of the thing is unreal that this would actually fly.
Right. I really enjoy like World War II history myself. I really like history and like Industrial Revolution era stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, next question. And this, with any luck, this might be something like our cake bake off. I kind of hope to see this one. So, who do you think would have better success at riding a unicycle, Andy Peters or Wesley Bryant?
Ooh. You know, I almost want to say Andy Peters. He actually kind of comes across as somebody that would actually know how to drive ride a unicycle. On 2 wheels, I would put Wes out in front of anybody, but on 1 wheel, I don't know. Got a feeling on this one.
Do you think I need to locate a unicycle for DuQuoin?
We might have to.
I mean, Wesley kind of roped you into the cake deal. I mean, I took it and run with it, I guess, but I would love to see it. Maybe a race.
Unicycle race.
Heck yeah.
An obstacle course.
Falling flat on their face.
Oh, that could be bad.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you think would most likely win playing a game of checkers? Your dad or Randy Amstutz?
I think it ended a tie. I think they would end up even on that one.
Think so? I'll tell
I
you
think
what,
so.
them two are two of my favorite ones to see. Such nice people, both of them.
Yep. I'm kind of obviously partial to Dad, but Amstutz are they're some of the most genuine, nicest people out there.
Absolutely. Definitely. They always make it a point to come see me whenever we're there vending and just visit. They're just super nice people. I really like them.
What's your favorite movie?
Well, I'd probably have to go with Dumb and Dumber.
Oh,
No, really?
okay.
Why is that?
Well, fun fact, Jeff Daniels is actually from Chelsea, Michigan, which is only about 15 miles up the road from where I was born.
Oh, wow.
And he has a house up there, done a lot of really good things, in the Chelsea area. Has a restaurant up there, actually has a theater company, that operates in Chelsea. That's definitely not why I enjoy Dumb and Dumber, but, between my brother and I think we could probably recite pretty much the whole movie.
So what's the most annoying sound in the world? I can't believe you actually did it.
Well, I mean, come on now. You can't lead me in and not expect that.
Okay, fair.
What's your favorite place to eat after a pull?
Probably the Bread of Life and Liberty.
Yes, the all-you-can-eat catfish.
Yep.
Right?
We've been going down there. Kenny Cornelison would know an exact date on this, but I think we've been down there like 14 or 15 years, I think. And yeah, that's definitely a must when you're in Liberty.
Definitely. We went there last year when we was there. Very good food.
How old were you, or how many years have you been pulling?
So I think we bought the first tractor when it would have been, I believe, 98. So I'd have been 12. Bought a Simplicity 725. Up here, the big thing in the local area is dead weight cement slab poles. Yeah. And they do it from garden tractors all the way up to through antiques, like 12,000 pound farm tractors.
Do they do it on the dirt or on the concrete?
On concrete.
Okay.
And so we bought that Simplicity was all set up for dead weight cement slab. Bought it. If everything details come out right, bought it, and Dad didn't know anything about it. We didn't have a truck and trailer at the time, so a friend of ours actually helped me get it to the house. Dad came home from work, and there was a tractor sitting in front of the garage. And he's like, "What's this?" And I said, "Well, we're going tractor pulling." And he's like, "Okay."
Nice.
And he knew all about cement slab. My interest came from watching big tractors. NTPA used to run a couple Grand National pulls not too far from here. And that's what got me hooked, was watching them. So I really had no idea what I was getting into with cement slab. Ran it 2 years, and then we were invited, some kids that I actually graduated with and went to school with. We're going dirt pulling, transfer sled, and they had invited us to go up, told us about it. So we went up, and was like, yeah, this is way less work. This is way more fun.
So how does the setup differ between the cement slab pulls and what we're doing now?
I've never seen that before.
You haven't?
So cement slab, the smoother tires. I mean, you want as much rubber on the ground as you can get. Get them hot, get them clean, and then you have two chances to get a full pull. And so the first attempt, once you get a little bit of weight in it, the first attempt is basically just get the tires hot and clean. And then they unhook you roll off, they brush the cement off, and then you hook back to the boat again. And then that's when you really start bouncing, and try to get momentum that way. Which obviously dirt, is more of cement is a balance. I mean, you are trying to get the front end off the ground where all your weight is on the rear tires. But obviously on dirt, it's, the balance is different as far as getting the tractor hooked off the line and then getting it to transfer coming up, going down the track. So it is a little bit different. It's definitely a lot less work running a weight transfer on dirt. In cement slab, you're actually trying to bounce the whole tractor and get the tractor off the ground. Not a lot, but you want the rear tires off the ground to get it cleaned out underneath the tire when it comes back down.
Yeah.
Dylan pulled up a video for me. It's of a big tractor, though.
Yeah, same concept with the garden tractors.
Same concept. Obviously, the bigger the tractor is, 150, 200 pound driver, you can't manipulate a 8, 10, 12,000 pound tractor nearly as easy. So they use the throttle and they use brakes to manipulate the tractor more. But it's the same concept.
Right.
That video did not look fun.
It was just of a old John Deere pull, and she didn't know what it was, so I pulled one up real quick. Are they still doing that, or is that just something they did back in the day?
Oh no, they're still doing it every year.
Oh wow.
There's 3 fairs pretty local to us that they run. They run all 3 of them. So garden tractors and all the big tractors up through, they run all 3 of those. So weight transfer stuff. In Southeast Michigan, we haven't had a weight transfer sled around here in 15 years.
Oh wow. So you mentioned NTPA. I love big tractor pulling. I've grown up around that. Who's your favorite past or present NTPA puller or tractor?
Jim Shaendorf, the Radical Red. We always kept an eye on him. My mom grew up with the Simpson family. So Max Simpson, if you ever heard of Max, did turbochargers, fuel systems. They're up in Charlotte, Michigan. And Jim used Max for a lot of their stuff. Brandon Schrammick.
Yep.
Brian and Brandon. The super stocks were Simpson built. So we always watched Shaendorf and enjoyed the fact that they were doing it on a budget. The tractor ran very well, but they ran to what they could afford to run it to. And the tractor always ran good, and it was pretty sharp ride.
Good. I'm glad someone else enjoys NTPA. I don't know that I have a favorite. I like them all. They do the Pullers Championship here in Nashville, Illinois. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yep.
I love going up there. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of fangirling up there whenever I went.
My Snapchat was blowing up.
Yeah, and she had no clue who in the heck it was, but I was like, oh my gosh.
You need to come up to Bowling Green sometime if you get a chance.
Oh man, I got mixed feelings on it. All I hear about it is it's big party, and I ain't really much of a partier. But
It is, if
I
you get out in
would,
the campground. But if you don't get out in the campground, when you're around the tracks, when you're in the pit area, I mean, it's business. But
yeah,
it is, you get out to the camping area, the campground, and that is definitely Party City.
yeah. I'm not much on partying. I'll tell you what though, I would love to go up there, and Ken Benny is probably my favorite puller right now, and I'd love to meet him, just shake his hand.
Yep. Ken and Rona.
Yes, I
You
don't
you
know
want
if
to
I've
hear a
ever.
place?
What's that?
You want to hear a place go absolutely wild? It was when she was still running down the track.
Yep, yep. What I was gonna say is I don't know who I'd be more starstruck to meet, him or her.
Yep.
I think she's just cool.
For sure.
So what classes are you pulling now?
I've got a pro stock, and Dad's got a 30, and working on a second one. Working on getting the second one back together.
Gotcha. Who builds you guys' motors?
Hackman is the pro, and then the 30 that we're running right now is a Burkhart.
Okay.
And then the second 30 is actually Shane Hadley's.
Okay.
So it's an fuel injected 30.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
What's your favorite memory from Poland?
Oh boy.
So many, or you don't know that you can share it?
No, there's a lot. Like I said, 23 years. We've only missed, I think I've missed 7 events. 7 events total in 23 years, I believe. 7 or
Wow.
8, something like that. And our tractor has only missed, I think, 2 events in that time period.
That's pretty good.
So there's a lot of goods, a couple of rough events in there, but, I would have to say probably the first championship we won. We took about a year to build the tractor and got it going and ran the end of the 03 season. So our first indoor hook was actually January 03 in Columbus. And we didn't realize at the time, what Columbus really was back then. I was like rolling into the Daytona 500 with an ARCA car.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how that equated. But we hooked in Columbus, and then we ran Springfield, Illinois, and we ran Moorhead, Kentucky. Those were the last 3 pulls of that year, and ran the whole next year. And I think we ended up 9th in points the next year. And that's when the Vogel, the 52 millimeter carb came out. And Joe Whitworth had reworked the stock block engine that we had, and they bolted a 52 carb on it and completely woke that thing up, and went out and won points that next year. And that was pretty cool to say the least.
Oh, I bet.
And then backing it up in the next year was pretty special too.
Definitely. So when we were down at Liberty, in between tractors going down the track, you were telling me a story about, I guess your first rig that you used to haul the tractor around with, the old Caprice, was it?
Yeah, we had
That story?
a Pontiac Parisienne, so it's basically a Caprice Classic. but had that. And then the first trailer that we had, called the Ice Box. It was a homemade trailer. It was a tongue and groove floor and a fiberglass shell with a swing door, and pretty flashy rig, but it got us there. It got the job done, and we ended up. I think the story when we were talking about it down there, the first time we were in Princeton, we actually had to put spark plugs in the car in the parking lot, because we burned a couple plugs up getting down there, but we made it, and I think we ended up 6th or 7th in the finals that year. So it was well worth the fun putting plugs in it.
Hey, it don't matter what you look like getting there, right? Which to me that sounds like a pretty snazzy ride.
Tell you what, it's probably the most comfortable ride we've ever had. I mean, that was pure luxury chilling in that thing.
Oh yeah, brand new Ford, Platinum don't compare to something like that. That's for sure.
No.
No sarcasm in my voice either, by the way. I'm serious, man. That'd be sweet.
Definitely wouldn't pull the trailer that we got now, but it was what we had, and it was a pretty sweet ride. Kind of miss that car.
What color was it?
Burgundy.
Of course.
And the cool one with those is they had the side skirts over the rear tires.
Oh man.
Tell any teenager now that, and they'd be like, "A what?"
Right. I wouldn't want to be caught in my mom's car. That's what they'd think. Only thing better would be a Cadillac.
Dylan has taste.
I do. I got a 67 Buick LeSabre with a big block 430 motor in it. And my goal for next year is I at least want to pull my tractors to the track with our local track with that one time.
So 7 miles.
Yeah, so 7 miles, but still, it'd be fun.
You have to stop at a gas station on the way there.
Yeah, well, that's the trick. There's no gas station between there and.
Yeah.
What is your dream goal in the pulling world?
It would be awesome to win a Pro Stack Points championship.
Yeah.
I've been leading points twice going into the last event of the year, and came up empty-handed both times. But so we've been close. It's not getting any easier. The tractors just keep getting tighter and tighter and tighter. But it's definitely a goal. Another 30 championship would be pretty sweet too. Got to find a way around that Hefner kid from Ohio though. It's pretty tough.
Yeah. So, what's your opinion on running for points? I know obviously the indoor series is a point series. Do you think it is something to try to help give everybody something to work for? Do you think it creates a lot of drama? What's your thoughts? I ask all of our guests that because we've been kicking around the idea of running some points at our local club that I'm involved in. I just kind of want to hear your take from the indoor series.
Yeah, so when we first started, it was Julian and Kathy Stahl ran the point series when we started, and it was just kind of what everybody did. So that was kind of how we always ran, was we were always running for points. And then it kind of fell away for a couple of years until Greg Miller and Matt Ronenbaum picked it up again. And kind of their stand originally on it was, well, we're all here anyway. might as well, tally points up while we're at it.
Right.
I take it seriously, but I don't lose sleep over it. I don't necessarily, have a spreadsheet out and counting points the minute, we come off the track. There's been plenty of events that I was, going back and forth on the spreadsheet on my phone on the ride home, counting out points and laying it out. But, there's people that take it a lot more seriously, and put a lot more pressure on themselves and, I think what necessarily needs to be. I mean, it's not like we're running for, $1 million or anything.
Right.
But, it is, like I kind of said earlier, I mean, it's just getting harder and harder and tougher and tougher. I mean, if you can qualify, now going to 6 events, if you can go out and qualify, 10 hooks out of 12, I mean, that in itself is pretty monumental anymore. Not even winning an event, just having to qualify them all. When Nathan Hager won Pro Stack points, that was 2022, I believe. He didn't win a Pro Stack hook all year, but he won Pro Stack points because he was that consistent. And that's really what the whole, reason behind the point system is the most consistent, and consistently being there and qualifying and, getting top 5s, and, not necessarily winning, although it is very helpful.
Oh yeah. That was something that always kind of intrigued me is that, and I think some people don't really realize that whenever I throw the idea of points out is you don't have to win every single time. It's a consistency thing. And yeah.
Yep, for sure. I mean, that year, we had 2 wins. I won at Harrisburg and I won at Navarre, but Nathan was right behind me at both events.
Yeah.
So, as soon as, we were leading going into Richmond and I finished 9th or 10th in the finals and he was like 4th or 5th and, he won by, I think, 4 points. So, that's all it takes.
If you can stay that tight with each other, to me, that makes it way more fun.
Yeah. Well, and actually I tied with Lamar for 2nd.
Oh, wow.
So it was,
go ahead.
So it was a very tight year. But it was, I mean, that to me, even though we didn't win it, if you're not going to win it, you're going to lose to somebody that had a whale of a year. And, either way, I'm going to congratulate them, tenfold. But,
oh, absolutely. That's the thing.
Teammate or not.
Yeah, that's the thing with pulling is like, it's the people that I enjoy. I just feel like the points would just kind of be the icing on the cake there with stuff. I like the friendly rivalries. I mean, we got several people that we pull with. It's just friendly. I mean, I'm sure you've heard us talk about the belt and some different things in our club. It's just goofiness for us. But at the same time, it's competitive too. Like we do want to beat each other, but everyone's going to be there cheering each other on and giving each other tips to do that.
Yep.
What kind of prizes do you guys give out for your point series?
So the NGTPS, they've got, they do jackets. They've kind of switched between fire jackets and, regular, like a winter coat jacket, and then trophies for the top 5.
Okay. So I'm moving on to talk about the Rood Dog Chassis Works. How did all that get started? What made you decide to do that? Where's the name come from? Obviously your name, but
well, it kind of came by sort of necessity. Mom pretty much told us, you guys need to find a way to pay for this.
Yeah.
As we got into it, prices of just everything's went up. COVID really didn't help anything.
No.
Until COVID, like rear tires were the same price, since we started, in 03. I mean, they were $420 for a set of rear tires.
Oh, good.
And they were $420, in early 2020. But now they've went way up. But,
yeah.
I took welding classes in high school. I originally took it, my brother had taken a welding class and he's like, basically it's a blow off class. You can basically go and the teacher was really cool. In the tech wing of the school, you're way down at the end. Nobody bugs you down there. Like you can just go and basically, screw off for an hour and a half a day. And I was like, that sounds pretty sweet. And, really had no idea what I was getting into. Pretty much didn't, as silly as it sounds, pretty much didn't know what welding was. Just thought, that'd be cool. So I was a freshman in high school, took that class, and as soon as I struck an arc with 6013, just fell in love with it. And so I took that class, which we had semesters, so it was half a school year for an hour and a half each day. Took welding, and then my sophomore year took the second welding class, and then was fortunate enough my junior and senior year to get into a consortium. So lucky for us, the welding class was at our school. So I had second hour for an hour and a half every day for the entire school year, both junior and senior year I had welding. So got into TIG welding my sophomore year and just picked it up. It just came really fluid to me. It was easy, which a lot of people struggled with TIG. But picked it up and ran with it. Yep. And, did some contests in school, but, at the end of the day, it was a high school hobby. So we actually, qualified for states for, VICA.
What's that?
It's, industrial. So it's all the welding, machining, there's a lot of other classes that go. There's all the consortium classes. So building trades,
Okay.
all those classes had state level contests and then national level contests. So I actually went to regionals and qualified number 2 in our region to go to states. But the state competition was the same weekend as the final NQS poll of the 2004-2005 season in Peoria, Illinois. And I disappointed my welding instructor by telling him that we were going tractor pulling and that this was a high school hobby. Luckily for me, it panned out well. We won the event. We won qualifying by a mile, won finals, and won the championship. So it ended up panning out. But that was kind of what started the love, I guess you could say, for welding. And got a welding job out of high school at a little repair shop 6 miles from mom and dad's house, and learned a ton at that place. The guy that started the business just forgot 10 times what I'll ever know. Just an awesome guy to learn from. And left there and got the job where I'm at now, which we run all MIG welding. But anyways, kind of got into, kind of tinkering, making parts for our own stuff, and, the capabilities that I learned through work, the machines that we had at work and the things that you can do with metal that was never really an option, because we didn't have it sitting in our garage. Learned, how to draw stuff, have parts laser cut, and learned how to run a CNC brake. And so I picked up all those skills. And so that's when we kind of started making parts.
Well, buddy, I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure I've told you in person, but I obviously build parts, and my story is much like yours too. My difference is after I worked on the river right out of high school, I got into our apprenticeship, and I worked in power plants and refineries and stuff, steel mills, mainly stick welding is what I did, but we did a lot of TIG welding on stainless tubes, and we'd always root in the root weld with TIG welding. But anyway, I could really rattle on about that. Obviously, I've got a shop, and I just admire and respect you, and very much so. And I mean, you put out some great parts, and I by no means ever want to step on your toes. I've told you that directly, and I think I don't know. There's just been a lot of other people that's approached me, and you always hear about the other guys, and it both good and bad. And I don't ever like hearing that, man. I just respect everybody else that does stuff. They all put out good quality products and give me something to shoot for too. Kind of like what you were saying. There's so much things you can do with equipment nowadays that you used to not be able to. And I came more from the industrial type work, and I'm learning more and more about like the CNC press brake. Like that's my next goal is I'd like to get me a CNC press brake, because anymore I have to have somebody break some of my bigger stuff, or I've got a small press brake there at the shop that I do some of my smaller parts. But anyway, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for you, and you put out very, very nice parts.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll put some chapstick on, I guess, since I've been kissing your butt for a minute. I'll move on.
6013 rod would have not made me fall in love with welding.
Well, it's still, I haven't stick welded in probably close to 20 years now.
Oh, really?
And I can still smell that flux burning. And I don't know why, because most people are like, oh, it's like the worst smell ever. But I love that smell.
It's a 6010 for me. I know what you're talking about. It's weird.
I mean, we got into 6011, 6010, 6011. Those were the rods that I excelled at that, again, a lot of people struggled with. You went to 7018 and everybody's like, oh, this is a piece of cake. You just shove it in the puddle and drag it. And I'm like, I can't run a bead to save my life.
So along with any more, I basically just do my tractor parts, and I still do some mobile welding. I got a couple clients that I really like doing stuff still yet with mobile, and I'll still do some handrails and small stuff like that. But in the past couple of years, I've kind of made a big change with my business, and I've really went more toward the tractor stuff and really enjoy that and enjoy the people I deal with way more. But anyhow, stick welding's still a big thing for me. I love TIG welding, both steel and aluminum. I absolutely hate to MIG weld.
I never got to MIG weld, truthfully.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of MIG welding. But my grandpa was an iron worker, and I remember, I took just one semester in the college welding class at our community college before I got into the apprenticeship, and then I just dropped the college because I didn't need it. The apprenticeship taught me everything and then some I needed to know. But anyhow, I come home come to my grandma and grandpa super excited and told Pawpaw, I'm like, I got to stick weld today. He's like, oh yeah, little buddy, what rod you use? And I told him 6013. And he goes, oh, you mean an ID10T rod? And I'm like, no, 6013. He's like, yeah, we always called them ID10Ts. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Pawpaw? And he goes, write it down. Are Are you confused? Are you confused?
I'm like trying to picture that.
Yeah,
An idiot.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
have a
piece of
pen with
paper
me.
and huh?
No, I don't have one.
I'll send you a picture. But anyway, we'll move on to the next question.
How many frames have you built?
I believe the last number I have wrote down, I think, is 47.
I really figured that'd be a lot more than that.
And you might have covered that. When did you start building them?
So the first chassis that we built is actually the tractor that Dad runs now, the Blue 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's serial number 1, and that one hooked for the first time in January of 14 in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh wow, more than a decade.
We have a thing for hooking in Columbus first. I don't know.
Well, wasn't
that one
Heidi's
started
first?
out. What was that?
Wasn't that Heidi's first place she hooked a pro stock?
No, she hooked Dad's altered, which was that same chassis. She hooked that in Navarre, Ohio.
That's right.
But that blue tractor originally was my pro stock. We had the 30, sold the 30 in 2011 and bought a pro stock from Steve Burton and ran it in a different chassis for a year and just couldn't get it to finish. It hooked great, drove straight. It was probably the smoothest chassis that I've ever drove. It was a wide frame. Just could not get it to finish at the other end. And so we built that blue tractor and tried a few things on it. And so it ran down the track the first time in January, and it actually won at Liberty in November that year. And then we went to Springfield, Ohio. That was when it moved from Columbus to Springfield. And we were fortunate enough to win Springfield. So we won back-to-back hooks with it. So that's got a pretty cool success story on it.
Oh, definitely.
There's Mom and Dad kind of say, like, I'll sell anything that's not bolted to the floor.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. But that's one chassis that probably isn't going anywhere.
I don't blame you. A lot of history there.
It's been it's been a 30, it's been a stock altered, and it's been a pro stack.
Gotta try them all out, huh?
Yeah, just, once a good chassis, always a good chassis.
That's right. So what kind of, what influenced some of the changes to your chassis over the years?
Some
Or
of
have
it
they
watching,
been changed much?
The current setups have been from 2014 to now. The biggest difference is going from factory frames to aftermarket frames. The pro stock that I'm running right now, Wheelbarrow Express, was the first aftermarket that we ran. And the main reason that I built that tractor, we had, I'd have to look up exactly what number that is, but I want to say we had like 15 aftermarket frames out. But everybody that was running them was either running, they weren't running indoors, so we couldn't get any good feedback for the indoor stuff, or they were running kind of an oddball class that we couldn't really gauge, chassis success, so to speak, for us off of that. So I built Wheelbarrow Express for the sole reason of comparing it to the chassis that we've got that are factory frames, heads up indoors in the winter.
Yeah.
But so if you look at the factory frame and you look at the aftermarket, there are some differences in them. Not much, but there are some differences in them. And if you a lot of people will kind of do a double take. It's not nearly as sharp as Genesis, Erica Hager's Pro Stack. It's not nearly as sharp as that one, but Wheelbarrow is as close as I could get them as an exact replica of that, just in an aftermarket frame.
So hers is a stock frame?
Hers is a factory frame, yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's cool.
That tractor, and this is Wesley Bryant loves this. That tractor was originally built for Wesley.
Oh, really?
Yep. He ran that one for a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in there, and sold it to Hager's when they were getting back in. Yep. So that's probably my most successful chassis out of all of them, I think, is Genesis.
Gotcha. So how have track conditions and the designs of tires, how's that altered how you design chassis, or has it?
Not too much as far as the chassis itself. Started doing some looking into traction bars and kind of altering the chassis a little bit, but as far as building them, we're pretty much building them the same.
So I think it's kind of funny you mentioned track bars. Me and somebody else was talking about that not too long ago. Why do you think that would benefit? Because I kind of looked at it and thought they might, but then, you've got the reduction housing that bolts to the frames. I feel like that would keep some axle wrap out of it myself. What's your take on the stuff there?
Really,
theory.
So if you look at it from typically where you'd see them, so on, 4-wheel drive trucks, see them on big diesel trucks and stuff, where you have rear suspension, they're serving a little bit different purpose. Where what we're actually using them for is to stiffen the frame up.
Okay.
So you're not getting the flex that you were without them.
So it'd be similar to a big super farm tractor that's running them. They call them something other than track bars. I'm drawing
ladder bars.
Yeah, they're like the ladder bars that connect, which those are to keep them from breaking in half. But yeah, that's the same kind of concept, just to stiffen it up and keep some flex out of it.
Yes, and it's what we have learned is there are good places to attach them, and there are bad places to attach them. And there's a lot of things that influence the chassis that a lot of people put zero thought into. Yeah. A lot of people, I get the question a lot on front axles. So we got the pivot, we have the solid bolt on, and we have the weld on. And I get the question a lot, which one's the best? Well, my answer is typically all of the Rood Dog chassis that we've built have a solid bolt-on axle. But I 100% feel for 99% of the people that are building a tractor that it is a personal preference, because there are so many details that get overlooked that are way more important than how the axle is mounted to the frame.
That's right. Yep.
And it will influence the chassis, and there's reasons that we use the solid bolt-on axles with ours. Some of it you can unbolt everything and take everything apart. But there are reasons that we use that. It's more so, kind of personal preference. But when you really look at how the frames flex, especially when you get into a Pro Stack or an injected super, I don't know how many people listen to this or who listens to this podcast, but
Well, don't give out any
those,
secrets.
no secrets, but it's a lot of information that, people really wouldn't even think about. I mean, we're still learning the differences between a carb super and an injected super and how those two will actually react differently in the same frame and what they will do to the frame differently one to the other. Most people would look at it and be like, well, 50 cubes is 50 cube. Well, now you're looking at the same exact class with a different injection or a different induction setup on it that's literally changing how the frame is working.
Right. So I think that's kind of neat that there's a lot more physics and science behind it than a lot of people really get. And I think between like talking with you and then like our episode with Kevin really puts that in perspective, that there are a lot of small details that make big differences.
Yep.
And you mentioned, you don't know how many people or who listens to this. We don't really have an average I could put out there that people listen, but it seems so. Our first episode just keeps growing and growing and growing. I think the more it gets out there and the more it gains traction, people are kind of going back to the start and listening. And then I just recently figured out how to get this on YouTube too. So we've now got 3 places you can listen to this. But anyway, my point with that is I started doing this as a joke, and I'm pretty sure I've told you, and not really a joke, just it was kind of a joking idea at first. And what I've found with it that I really enjoy is I can talk to people like you that can really break it down and get real specific with some of these things. But our local guys that just pull a 12-horse stock love listening to this aspect of it where it's more in depth. And then I've also found that like the guys that are bigger names and pull the indoor and pro and like that, they're just on a different level than our stock guys. They like listening to this too because they love hearing the different perspectives of the little guy, I guess. And I mean, that's not meant to be rude or anything towards anybody. It's just I like that I've been able to reach out to different people and get a different perspective with all of this. I think it helps everything grow all around.
Oh, for sure. And there's a lot of, if you would have told me 23 years ago, I kind of joke, people see the truck and trailer that we got right now and they're like, oh, you guys got a lot of money. And it's like, well, we work hard for what we've got.
Yep.
And like I said, 23 years ago, you look at the rig that we were running and it's a totally different picture. We slept in the trailer for, kind of going back to the fun memories. Some of the best memories that I've got were with we had a 6x12 Hallmark enclosed trailer, and we had I don't know, over the course of 3 years, we probably had 9 different trucks or vehicles that we pulled the trailer with, different ones that we had or, borrowed a truck here or there or whatever and slept in the trailer. That was one way to save money. Hotels were, back then they were probably $50, $60 a night, but, we can save $100, $150 by sleeping in the trailer. And, it was how we got it done, and I'll tell people, well, what's the dyno say? Guys want to do it themselves, and there's nothing wrong with building an engine yourself. At the indoor level, it is so hard and so competitive anymore. I don't want to say you can't build your own, but the years that these engine builders have been doing this, Greg Hackman, the dude's been building engines for, I don't even want to know how long.
Right.
But Julian Stahl, you look at the knowledge that those guys have, and you're you're one guy with one engine trying to compete with that. You know,
That's
it's
got multiple engines out there. That's got data from multiple engines. That
right.
yeah.
And it's like to save yourself money, and this, it sounds totally backwards, but to save yourself money, set out like 2 poles, take the
Yep.
engine to an engine builder that can put it on a dyno, get it tuned in, and then come back out. And I'm like, you will save money in the long run and actually have something to show for it. You know,
Listen. Go ahead.
you know, we've watched guys do this for, you know, I mean, we've watched guys do this for 2-3 years, you know, just keep changing stuff and, you know, trying to, you know, tune it by ear. And it's like, you know, what's it cost to go pulling for a weekend now? You know, it used to be, you know, not all that long ago that, you know, you could go pulling, you know, an indoor hook for $1,000 for the weekend. Well, that $1,000 bill don't get you very far anymore.
No.
You know, so when you start throwing that kind of money around, like, I mean, you can take an engine to an engine builder, throw some parts at it, you know, for under $2,000, pretty easy. And, you know, as long as you're not getting real carried away with internals, you know, and have a proven runner. And, you know, I've had people tell me, it's like, well, you know, I'm trying to do this on a budget. And I'm like, you don't have to tell me about budget.
Right.
You know?
Well, see, that's where the term "must be nice" comes into play, I think. You know, there's probably people outside looking in that looks at all you guys at these pools and thinks, man, must be nice. But, you know, good grief. You slept in your trailer to save $1 to be there, you know. What?
Yep.
They don't see the sacrifices that everybody makes to try to do that, and just where they come from, too. I get it. I get must be nice all the time for the stuff I've got, and I've worked my butt off.
Yep.
So I guess I'll lead into another question I have for you is, you know, what advice would you give to someone that's wanting to run the indoor series? I believe you probably answered that there, but do you got anything to add?
Get the one thing I'll tell people a lot more than not, is getting to be, I don't want to say more of an issue, but it really is. There's fewer and fewer engine builders, you know, I don't want to say every year, but, you know, every couple of years, you know, it's getting harder and harder to get newer engines. You know, and like I said, you know, the prices don't go down any. There's a lot of good used tractors that are for sale that you can buy, you know, and don't get caught up on what it looks like. You know, look at the engine, look at the drive line, and look at the transmission, and look at the rear tires. If the money's there with those pieces, buy it. You know, sell the chassis, part the chassis out, whatever. You know, if you want to build your own chassis, that's cool. But you can get into a tractor so much cheaper, and you can get into it now, you know.
Right.
But, you know, figure out what class you want to run, and then, you know, kind of look for something in that, you know, range. There's always a lot of stuff that's for sale that isn't necessarily advertised. When you start asking people and talking to people and, you know, going to an indoor event and, you know, try to get connected with, you know, some of those engine builders. Loyalty goes a long way. And it's, you know, same thing. It's, you know, getting harder, but, you know, there's a lot of engine builders that, you know, they want people, because there is a lot of technology and a lot of time and a lot of information in these engines, that they don't want, you know, the next guy to get a hold of.
Yeah.
You know, so they, you know, they're very careful where those engines go. So if you can get hooked up with one, you know, and stay true to that, that person, as long as they don't do you wrong, stay true to them. You can go a lot of places, and, success is not instant by any means. We've been very fortunate, and we've had a lot of success, fairly early. But it's, a lot of people will get in and they won't win in the first year and a half, 2 years, and then they'll get out. And so, well, if I can't win, it's like, I know some people that ran, 8, 9, 10 years before they finally won an event. And you got to keep digging. And again, it's looking at all those little fine details of everything. We used to say anybody with good equipment, on a good run when we started in like 03, 04, if you had good equipment, you could be off on gear. You could be off on, weighting, or you could be off a little bit on line down the track. And if you had really good equipment, you could generally qualify. Anymore, you can't miss anything, or else you're not going to qualify. You take the class, look at Liberty. There was, 35-ish pro stocks down there. And, you go down that list of tractors, and it's like every one of the tractors in that class can pretty much win on any given day. There's no slouches. There's no guys that are going to roll over, and play dead for you. You basically got to earn it. And, so don't give up on it. Get in, pay attention to the small details, because they go a long way.
I talked to you a little bit about, I'm wanting to get in to run the indoor series, and, all that's advice you gave me, and I couldn't agree more. I'd like to build my own chassis, but I've been kind of keeping my eye out for a good transmission and stuff, and just so I could start piecing something together. It ain't going to happen overnight. I'd love to do it next year, but I don't think it'll even happen that soon. But I'll be out there one of these days, just as soon as I find the right deals to put one together. And I've got in mind who I want to do my motors, just making that happen too.
Yep. Well, and it's, when you kind of get talking to people, you get hooked up with people that will lead you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And I know you've mentioned it before, there's a ton of really good guys, and girls. Don't want to count them out. There's a ton of really good guys and ladies that will help you. And, there's, it used to be really, really, really secretive, on like, what gear you were running.
Mm-hmm.
And, when we're, you have teams of people, you have groups of people that are working together, and, you obviously aren't going to get necessarily cross between those two. But when you get done and, you walk over to whoever won or whatever, and well, what gear did you run? Most of the time they'll tell you. And the thing that a lot of people don't understand is, I can tell you the gear that I ran. I can tell you the weight that I had on the front boom. I can tell you the weight that I had on the mid bar. I can tell you what tire pressure I was running. But until you know how that translates to what you have, it's only going to get you so far.
Definitely.
If your engine doesn't have low end torque, that gear that I just ran, it ain't going to work for you. So, there's a lot of stuff that kind of through the years, I'd almost say is kind of talked about more, or more open information. It's not quite as secretive, so to speak, as what it was, kind of when we started. Back then it was a lot more, I guess you'd call it cliquey.
Yeah.
There was a lot more engine builders, back then. So you had a lot more smaller groups of people. So it's been very interesting to look back at the last 23 years and how, really how the indoor sport has changed, in that time period.
So, what advice would you give to brand new pullers, like on a local level?
One that comes up a lot, find a local club or a club where you want to run, get rules for that club specifically. And don't, and I'll probably get chastised for this, but it's the truth. Don't get caught up in, you have to have a Cub Cadet to tractor pull. It's the only tractor that'll work. Especially when you're talking lower horsepower, 10, 12 horse tractors. And you can get up in the 14, 16s, but, those in the governed classes, wheel horses, Sears, Simplicities, Alstromers, they all make fine tractors to start with, a little bit of, home fab skill. You can build a hitch and wheelie bars and, throw some weight racks on it and, go on Facebook Marketplace and buy a home gym setup with a bunch of plastic concrete weights on it and go pulling. A lot of people will look at, what we're running indoors and they're like, well, that's what I have to have for a 10 horse stopper. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not necessary. And, especially if you're just getting into it, not knowing where you want to go with this, how far you want to go. Some people do it for a couple of years and they're like, it was fun, but, move on to something else. And some people run with it and continue to grow and grow and grow. And, there's plenty of examples of that, and then you get to a certain point where, you can switch and build something that will hold the power better. But, there's a lot of, starter tractors out there that are wheel horses, Sears tractors that pull really, really well. And again, small details here and there go a long way, but
definitely. So, one of the big problems that I commonly see, I come from the stock world, and Kevin touched on it a little bit in his episode, the super stock, the super stock class, there's rules for it's a universal set of rules, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Something that I've found is, for the stock stuff, there isn't really universal rules. We're lucky enough where we're at, we've got several clubs we can pull that we all got together and tried to make our rules mirror each other pretty close. But do you think that we'd ever get to the level where, we could take our 12 horse class just about anywhere and pull, or our 16 horse tractor anywhere and pull? Like, for instance, I reached out today to Jerry Cantrell about that pull in Florida, just wanting some information on it. And, it's hard to get rules to fit everybody. What I'm getting at is, do you think we'd ever be able to get a universal set of rules across the country for a 16 horse tractor and a 12 horse tractor like you guys have done with the super stocks?
I would love for that answer to be yes. I just don't think it ever will be, unfortunately. There's too many, how do I put this? There's too many guys that have been around it for too long, like in a certain area. Mm-hmm. And these are the rules that we always ran. And
it's been this way for 30 years. We ain't changing now.
Right. Well, yeah. And the difficult part is the people that wouldn't want to change them are too big, so to speak, too big for the rules that you're going to implement. So they would have to go back to, and whether or not they can go back,
Right.
A head is easy to slap on, but when you get into porting, this group you can port it, this group you can't. Well, now my engine's worthless,
Yep.
And the one thing that I tell a lot of people, somebody that wants to build something more than a stock tractor, but, they're not at like the pro super level. I'm like, build a stock altered. You can, it's universal. It's not, ridiculous wheel speed, but they still get up and go. They still turn ours, hard off the line, but you can take those just about anywhere. Again, those rules are universal. That's pretty much, probably a 30, and even 30s. I think now we're universal again. When we went to 1,000 pounds, there was some pretty good pushback. I think there's probably still some clubs that run 950, but, that's just a weight thing. So that's not the end of the world.
Right.
But as far as like the lowest horsepower stuff that's universal is pretty much a 30 cube or a stock altered. And stock altereds are ran, at least around where we're at, stock altereds are ran way more places than 30s are. We pretty much have the only 30 cube in the state of Michigan. There was one other 30 in the state for a couple of years. But we've pretty much been the only ones with a 30 cube in the state of Michigan for the last 25 years.
Wow.
So we don't run it all in the summer.
Yeah.
They come out and play in October.
So we're going to move away from tractor pulling a little bit here.
What hobbies do you have outside of pulling?
I guess the biggest one would be bowling.
I've heard.
I bowl every Tuesday night. And then I bowl nationals, state tournament and nationals. We've been bowling nationals. This will be my 4th trip. We go to Reno in next May, and that'll be the 4th nationals that I've bowled.
Would you say you're a better tractor puller or bowler?
Depends on the day.
What's your favorite PBA event? And what's your favorite good grief, PBA event?
And I've only actually attended one. It was in Allen Park. We actually were there for a TV show. Watched them film a show, but, they bowl quite a bit, close to us here in Michigan. So probably anything that they bowl at Thunder Bowl in Allen Park.
What rules do they use in the PBA that we could apply to pulling? Or what do they do in PBA that we could apply to pulling?
Oh, oof. They kind of the big thing in the bowling end of it is oil on the lane, volumes, and where you're allowed to put oil and not put oil. So that would be, basically for us be track surface, which we sort of limit that, but it's just still kind of a free for all, which within reason, we're a little bit tougher to, say, well, there's certain things you can and can't do because whatever dirt is there is what we're stuck with. So there's a lot more variety in that. But the other big thing that they kind of deal with is the actual technology of the ball. So between the weight inside and the cover stack on the outside. So the cover stack on the outside would be the teeth, how much it can hook, the hook potential of a ball, basically what we're doing with tires. And then the weight block in the center is basically their engine. So they limit the variables of how big the weight block can be or how much offset it can be. So the hook potential. So, when, in the tractor pulling world, it's, engine rules, so I think in a lot of ways, comparing the two, a lot of it crosses, I feel, we're over the 23 years that we've been running, most of the classes haven't changed much, little changes here and there. But technology, continues to develop. You look at a pro stack or a super stack in 2003 or a stock haltered in 2003, and you look at them today and they are totally different animals.
Oh, yeah.
A stock haltered today in reality isn't far off or the same as what a pro stack was, in numbers when we started in 2003. Not really that far off of that. So just technology has come so far, and continuing to kind of look at, as ideas develop, the block has been the same since, the configuration, so to speak, has been the same since the 60s. But, people, and as technology develops, different ideas come out, and, kind of the integrity of the sport is kind of what we're trying to, uphold, so to speak. But letting the ideas run wild within those parameters is the interesting and the fun part to see. I'm not an engine guy, never have been. Don't plan on becoming one anytime soon. But, watching, these guys' minds go all over the place and come up with this stuff is wild. So, I feel like a lot of the things that they're doing, we're kind of already doing in our sport.
Yeah. It's, I was told to ask these questions about bowling, and really I didn't quite realize that you could compare so much between the two. It's kind of interesting. I didn't know there's that much technology in the ball.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
What they you look at that round ball, and you'd think, well, just throw it.
Right.
But there's a lot that goes into it.
Are there any?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, are there any pullers you think we should put the bumpers up for on the track?
I probably shouldn't say.
Okay. Do you think that we could sneak in a game of bowling maybe Thursday night at Du Quoin on the track?
Oof. That could be interesting.
That could be very interesting.
I'll tell you, I will probably be horrible.
Why is that?
Have you ever done Wii bowling?
Oh yeah, I like Wii bowling.
Yeah, I'm like the worst bowler on Wii bowling that ever existed.
Do you overthink it, or what? Why?
I think that's some of it. I'm trying to do, like an approach and throw the ball, on the Wii like I would in real life, and that does not work. There's so much that's involved in bowling as when you look at, everybody says, well, just throw it faster. You just got to rifle it. It's all muscle. Well, In reality, the ball speed comes from how fast you walk to the approach.
Really?
And how fast you come to the foul line. If you watch like a baseball pitcher, there's so much energy that's created below the waist. Bowling is the exact same. There's so much energy that's created below the waist. In reality, your arm swing is 100% like loose. The looser your arm swing is, the more repetitive you can make shots. Because then you're not muscling it too much, not enough. So it's all in, it's all in repetitiveness and touch.
Do you have a bowling name? Like a bowling nickname?
No.
Do you have a team?
That I know of right off.
Not that you know of. Do you have a team that you bowl with?
Yeah, Tuesday night team. It's actually been, there's two of us that have been on the team for, I think we started that team in 2006 or 2007. So, going on 18, 19 seasons, somewhere in there. There's two of us that have bowled together the whole time, and then the other three guys have flipped. But the sponsor that we've got now is one of the guys that actually bowls on the team with us.
What's the name of you guys' bowling team?
RBE. So it's River Birch Enterprise. And it's, he does all sorts of stuff now, but, has business doing, they have a laser engraver and a, wood, mill table. So 3D.
Yeah.
They can do, flags or whatever on it. So, but the main business that he did, they did, quality inspections and reports and stuff, basically all automotive based.
Oh, that's cool.
See, when I think bowling, I think The Big Lebowski.
Yes. There's a really good movie, and a lot of people would probably laugh at this, but there's a documentary made. It was called League of Ordinary Gentlemen. And it came out. It was a really good movie, and the very beginning of it actually talks about, like the Big Lebowski, Al Bundy, the damage that those did to the sport.
Really?
And, well, you think about it, like everybody's like, even Jim Gaffigan, the comedian,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has a whole bit about bowling, it's the lazy man's game.
Oh,
they
like
roll
took
the
the
ball back to
respect
you.
out of it, kind of a thing. I
Yeah.
see that. I mean, I don't feel that way, but I love The Big Lebowski, but.
Say the bowling movie I remember is Kingpin with Woody Harrelson, and I hated that movie.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah.
But and it's like a lot of sports, you watch them on TV and it's like, well, it doesn't look that hard, and especially with bowling, it's like, well, it doesn't look that hard, and you can go to your bowling center and you can pay, whatever for an hour, and you can walk up and throw a ball, and it's like, well, you're still trying to knock down the same 10 pins. But the accuracy in the oil patterns are what changes. And when you watch the guys that are on TV, bowling for a title, if you look, from the foul line where they stand, 40 feet down the lane, they're trying to hit an area a half inch wide with that ball. And if you miss a half inch right, it doesn't come back. You miss a half inch left and it overhooks. And when you start thinking that, you look 40 feet away and it's like, okay. And then you put into, you have to hit the same speed. That ball has to hit that mark at the same speed every time. and then the rotation that you put on the ball has to be the same every time. So when you really start breaking it down, it's like any other professional sport. You know, it's these guys literally train for this. They practice for this. They put in hours doing this. Where like those movies are like, you know, it's a big joke.
Right.
You can drink beer, eat nachos. You know, anybody can go bowling and be a professional.
Well, I'll tell you what I've taken away from this. If you ever invite me to go bowling, I'm probably going to turn you down.
Well, you can go and eat nachos.
Yeah, I'll go eat nachos and watch you, I guess.
There we go.
Yeah. You'd whoop my butt. Holy cow.
So why aren't you allowed to drive to and from holes?
I was waiting for that when I seen Dad's comment. I was like, oh boy, this is going to come up. So in 2009, we were headed to Princeton, Indiana for the first pole of the winter. And we had left later in the day than we pretty much ever do. And so I was going to drive for the first couple hours, and then Dad was going to take over and finish out, and we'd get down there 3, 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And so we're driving along, and we're, 35 minutes from the house, and we're coming up to an intersection. Dad's kicked back in the passenger seat, pretty much falling asleep. And there was a guy in a Jeep that was headed on the opposite or in the other direction or the other crossroad that we now know was also asleep. So there was 3 people at the intersection. I was the only one awake. And he T-boned the truck. The Jeep backed around back through the side of the trailer. It actually ripped and this was actually that 6x12 Hallmark that we had. It ripped the tongue right off. The actual lock the tongue was still locked onto the truck, but between the ball and the frame tubes, the coupler ripped just like a piece of paper, broke both safety chains, trailer hit the control box at the intersection, broke all 4 straps on the tractor. The tractor was halfway out the rear door of the trailer, laying on its side. So we totaled the truck, trailer, tractor, pretty much everything in the trailer. It was not a good night, to say the least.
Dylan's showing me the pictures on Facebook. That's insane.
Yeah, I was creeping on your Facebook earlier, just looking for some stuff to ask you about, and I didn't realize that this is part of that story. That's wild.
Yep. That was
made it out all right.
Yeah, were you guys okay?
Yeah, we both walked away without a scratch.
That's lucky.
Luckily, we were nowhere near the guy that hit us, because it probably wouldn't have been the same fate for him.
Yeah.
But it was not a good evening.
No.
But there was a lot of blessings that came out of that were, you never see it, when it's happening or, shortly after it happens. But the trailer that we had, we were getting ready to put a bunch of money into. It looked great. But it was a steel trailer. And after that accident, when we got it home and we were starting to cut the trailer apart, realized that the frame was rotting from the inside out. So the outside of the frame rails looked great, but the inside was completely rotted out. So, saved a lot of money there. Unfortunately, the stock block 30 that won those 2 championships was what was in that tractor. That got wrecked. Got with Chuck Vogel, tried to patch her up and get her through, but we ended up just running the rest of that season out with that tractor. And the hood from that tractor, we kind of straightened out the best we could, and had people sign it. We carried silver Sharpies there with us the rest of the year and had people sign it. And we actually flattened the hood and put it on the ceiling of the shop a couple years ago. So it was kind of neat. We every once in a while you look up there, again, going back 23 years, you look up there now and there's a ton of names on there that, people have either passed away, not pulling anymore, so it's neat to see those names. It's a kind of a neat reminder of time, the good old days, so to speak. But
yeah.
So because of that, I'm not allowed to drive anymore.
Oh, well,
Your
that
bad
ain't your
luck,
fault.
yeah.
Honestly, I was expecting a funny story. I'm glad nothing bad really come of it with you guys. Because I've seen the pictures and it looked pretty rough.
Yeah, it was, we trashed a lot of stuff that night.
Yeah.
Who does it feel the best to beat at the pools?
Anymore, just about everybody. It's, there's a lot of people that we like to beat, but, just with the competition being as tight as it is now, anytime you can squeak into the finals, anymore, just qualifying is so difficult. Anytime you can squeak into the finals, it's like everybody below me on that list, I'm glad I beat them.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to pull?
Probably Princeton, Indiana. So we pulled, Columbus, Springfield, Illinois, and Moorhead, Kentucky before we went to Princeton for the first time. But Princeton, to me, is always the place that starts the new season. That's kind of home to me. We've been down there, I think with COVID and a couple oddball pulls and stuff that were put on down there. I think I believe I've been to Princeton 24 times now, 23 or 24 times now. So that's kind of always been home. It's through all those years, that's the only one that we've always went to. We've changed venues. We've run a lot of different places, but, so that's always the one, that we go to. And it's like, in that first weekend in October, every year I can tell you where I'm going to be. And, you pull in there and you get unloaded and it's like, we're home. See people that you haven't seen since April and, haven't had necessarily the best success there on the track. We have had success, but, it's just always the place that feels like home.
Yeah. That's awesome. Really. I get it.
I can't remember if you answered this, but does your wife and kids travel with you, or is it just your dad?
Just Dad. My wife's it was actually before we were married. She went to a couple pulls, and oldest, he went to Navarre with me last year. Younger one, there's too much stuff around for him to go yet.
I feel the same about Dylan.
Yeah. It's like, okay, don't break anything.
Do your boys have any interest in pulling yet?
They have little spurts. My oldest, he came out to the garage and I was making a seat box a little while ago, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, when are you going to make one for me?" And I'm like, when you want one, we'll build you a tractor. And he lit right up. He's like, "Oh, you'll build me a tractor?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Right now.
And that was pretty much the last time that was pretty much the last time it got brought up. So it kind of goes in spurts. I'm not necessarily pressuring them, but the hard part, without having, a really good local summer club, we get so busy in the summer with everything else that it'd be hard to drive, the couple hours where, we got to get down into Ohio, to really get into a good club. And, so it's, hard enough to, sacrifice a whole Saturday, doing that. To be truthful, it's hard enough to sacrifice 6 weekends, right now to go pulling, in the winter. So it'd make it even more difficult, doing the guys that run, talk, Max Burkhart, with Tri-State. I mean, they run I think he said they've got 12 or 14 pulls in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
and then they do all the ones in the winter. And I'm like, holy crap, man. I love pulling, but that's a lot of work.
I'd say we have, with our club, between our county fairs and our home track, I'd say we had probably 10 or 12 last year. And then we'll also go to Kentucky and Missouri and pull too. We're not far from Kentucky and Missouri down here.
You can about hit a pole almost every weekend in the summer.
Yeah, if you really want to.
Weather pending, obviously.
The thing that sucks for me is my nephew I talk about a lot. That boy eats, sleeps, and breathes pulling and absolutely loves it. And it's hard for me.
Tractors in general.
Yeah, tractors in general. It's hard for me to tell him no. He was at the shop earlier. He's out of school today, and he's looking around at some of the stuff I was working on. And he's like, Uncle Dylan, when are we going to build my Massey? I was like, good grief, kid. We're getting there.
He needs to get a job. He needs to build all these tractors.
No kidding. And
Patience, young grasshopper.
Yeah. He has it all planned out too. He wants some shiny wheelie bars that say Massey in it. He wants some big tires, the ones that hook good like on Aunt Em's tractor.
Mm-hmm.
He wants the weight bracket like on my tractor. He wants Massey Ferguson sheet metal and a big motor that'll make him do wheelies. So
he's got it all figured out.
He sure does.
That boy, he kills me. Tell us about your tractors. What are your tractors' names?
We forgot to ask that. That's normally one of our first questions.
So the current Pro Stack that I have is called Wheelbarrow Express. And then the blue 30 that Dad's currently running is Dog's New Suit. And then the orange tractor that the injected 30 will go in is called Retro Dog.
So, where did the Wheelbarrow Express come from? Where did the name come from?
Well, so when I put that tractor together in our normal fashion, threw it together in 2 weeks. And the first hook out for it was the Larry Fox pole. And the front tires that I usually used when I build a tractor, they're just steel, 3 1/4 by 8 inch steel wheels with a smooth rib tire on them. And we were getting ready to go the night before, and Dad's like, what are you doing for front tires? And I'm like, just leave them on there. So we left them on there. We pulled up into the Fox pole, and I hadn't really thought of a name for it. And we come wheeling up, and Nathan Hager looks at it, and he goes, hey, it looks like a wheelbarrow. The name stuck.
I like it.
So
I really expected you to tell me that you brought all the parts into the shop in a wheelbarrow or something like that. Those leftover parts.
No.
Nice. Well, buddy, I appreciate you being on here. I know it's getting late for you. You're an hour ahead of us, and we need to get wrapping up too. I'll just end it with who do you have to thank? Who would you like to throw some thank yous out there to?
So I actually was thinking about these at work today, and so I had to write some few notes down here. But first and foremost, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That accident in 09. Walked through that without a scratch. Look at all the miles that we've run through the years. Never had any, so to speak, catastrophe health wise. And the blessings to be able to do this. The awesome friends that we've built, relationships we built through the years. Number two, we made my wife holds the fort down when we're gone, all the sacrifices, mainly her sacrifices are, when I'm in the shop working, keeping the boys from killing each other, while we're, chasing, while me and dad are chasing our dreams and hopes. And mom, she's always been a support. All the road trips we've been through the years, whether it's parts or poles, the early years, she sacrificed more than we'll ever know. Financially, it was just, we always had what we needed when we needed it. And, we'll never really know I'll probably never really know the true, sacrifices that they made through the years to make that happen. But, really, really thankful for that. And, dad, can't even begin to thank for all the hard work and dedication, love and support, in the shop. All the times, that he's out there working, while I'm at home with the boys, or doing family stuff or whatever. And, he's out there machining parts. It's kind of a big joke that, I'll be out there doing something and he'll take a picture with his feet up, that he's supervising. But, truth be told, he does a ton of work out there and, really could not do this without him. Whether it's running to Indiana at the drop of a hat to pick up parts from Amstutz that I completely forgot we didn't have, or basically freezing to death sleeping in the trailer in Columbia, Missouri in December. I'm sure he could come up with things that he rather would have been doing, but that's definite great memories, and really thankful for the relationship that we've built through the years. Our teammates, Erica, Nathan, Lamar Hager, Heidi and Wesley Bryant, Greg and Tyler Hackman on the pro, and Max Burkhart, Shane Hadley, and Andy Peters on the 30. Just the hours and hours and hours of phone conversations and texts and stupid ideas that we kick around. Between the three of us, we kind of laughing when we're doing that whole bake thing, but I'll kind of lead into this. The special thanks to my wife Janice, Erica Hager, and Heidi Bryant for putting up with our long phone calls, text chats, and shenanigans. I believe they would all agree that they are very happy that we live nowhere near each other. But it just kind of goes back to the awesome friendships we built through the years. And, we have customers that we don't even call customers anymore. They're friends. We'll do whatever we can do. We'll help out whoever we can help out, at any chance that we get. We've got a pit cart at the poles, and I think you've seen it, Dylan.
Yeah.
And that thing's loaded with all sorts of parts, and it's, we want to beat everybody there, but we want to beat you on the track. We don't want to beat you because you couldn't make a pass. And, anything we can do, any parts we can help, lend, whatever tools we can lend, whatever, to get somebody up and going, we try to do. But, so just thankful for that whole list of people there. There's probably 50 more names that should be on that list too. And, just thankful for all those people that have, helped us out in some way, taken us under our wing at different points, and, really, showed kindness to us. That's basically what we try to do, in return now that we think we have a little bit more, experience and information to share. But yeah, I think that wraps up most of the list.
Okay. I'm really glad that you said something about wanting to offer help with parts, and you want to beat people at their best, not because they're broke down. That's another thing that I think is, I don't know what I want to say there. Just whenever I talk to our local guys, or, just the guys that pull stock, that's something they always throw out there. And I just really like that you put that out there, that at the level that you pull, it stays the same no matter what. We're all pullers, and we all care about each other, and we all want to beat each other at our best. and we'll do anything to, make that happen.
Yep.
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. I think, through listening through all the podcasts and stuff, I think we've kind of put most of the pieces together. I guess the only other one would be, when Sam's going to run a super.
Well,
I mean, I'll try it out, but I can't promise I'll stick with it.
I'd be glad to build it.
Yeah.
That's what we need to find
Well,
out.
there you go. Ring up
Who's
Kevin.
gonna let me test it?
Oh, you'll like it. You don't even have to test it. You'll like it.
Oh, okay.
I guess we need to find someone that'll let her run one and find a time and place.
We once we got Heidi Bryan on the seat and got her comfortable, and that's kind of a whole nother deal. But being comfortable on the seat is like one of the things that's probably the most underrated. A lot of people just, everybody's building this seat box or this dash or whatever, and that's just what's available. But right sizing the tractor to the driver is so important, and getting them comfortable on the seat. And Wes will probably hate me for this, but once I finally, basically beat it into his head that, we needed to get her comfortable on the seat, that's when she really started to enjoy the super.
Yeah.
So we're building her a 16 here very soon, actually. And she's been pulling a narrow frame, like a 126. That's her 12 stock tractor. And she, seems to be pretty comfortable on it, but she's drove around a couple wide frames that we've got. Have you actually pulled any of the wide frames?
No.
Not actually pulled them, just, driven them from the trailer to the scales and stuff like that.
They're a lot more comfortable.
You didn't pull Huey's once?
No. I don't think so.
But anyhow, she seems to be more comfortable on the wide frames we have, so I think that's what her new one's going to be. If we could run aftermarket frames in our 16 horse class around here, I was probably going to start from scratch with one of yours but anyway, we're trying to figure that out.
There's nothing wrong with the fact. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the factory frames. There's just a lot more time in them.
Yes, definitely.
To get them, to the same place.
Definitely. Let's see. I guess last question is, I ask everybody, who's someone you'd like to see on the podcast? Who'd you like to call out for us to try to get on here?
So I wrote down a few names that I think would have a lot of, kind of a lot of knowledge and a lot of history, so to speak, and maybe some pretty good insights. Randy and Michelle Amstutz.
Yeah,
they've been around. They've been around the pulling world in some aspect for quite a few years, and they really, we kind of touched base earlier on, super nice people, and help you out any way they can. Julian and Kathy Stahl, business owners, started NQS, really got the standardized rules package kind of going. Again, a lot of history, a lot of good information. I can tell you from being out there and, hanging around them, as much as we have through the years, they have a lot of really good stories. There's some pretty funny YouTube videos of Julian rolling around between bowling alleys and different places that are pretty funny. And then the other one would be, I think would be a good one. That'd be Kevin Root.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've met him several times and sold some parts to him.
Yep, super nice guy. I mean, you talk about somebody that's dedication. I mean, he lived in Oklahoma until, as far as we've known him, he lived in Oklahoma until just a year and a half ago or so when he moved to Ohio here. But traveled a lot of miles, dedicated to the sport, he's it's always been neat to watch the tractors and how they transform and the stuff that he's trying. The different theories and, different things that have come across the tractors. Been pretty cool through the years to see, some of them, transform into something that works better. Some of them just go away, and some of them nailed, pretty spot on, right away. So he's always been kind of a pretty ingenuitive guy. It's been kind of neat to watch through the years.
Well, we'll see about reaching out to them. I've kind of thought about Randy and Michelle. They're see if they'd want to do it. I don't know if they listen to this at all or not. I've never asked them. But anyway, I guess we're going to wrap it up, buddy. I really appreciate all your time, both, doing this podcast with us and just, the talks we've had at the track. I really enjoy talking with you. You gave me a lot of good information. I guess if you don't have anything else, just an inside joke here, I guess. I've went this whole episode without saying anything about Mickey Brown, so I have to slip that in. Mickey, get on the podcast. Quit being a chicken. Everyone wants to hear from you. So that's all I got. Have a good evening.
Just be careful real quick before you guys go.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick before you guys go. Just appreciate this. I kind of made that comment, not sure, how many people hear this or whatever, but this stuff like this is what really helps get information out. It gets the word out, gets people interested. When we started, there was very, very little readily available information. There was a few websites on the internet, that we could go to and kind of find some stuff here or there, but, there wasn't a lot, and now the fact that you can, pull up Facebook on your phone, 2 seconds, ask a question and somebody's answering it, is just wild to me. So, this podcast is, really cool tool, that we can use to, connect to people and, the stock guys, you never know when those guys are going to, just get the bug and keep growing. So it's a really cool tool that I hope continues to grow and, connect to more people and, just keep growing the sport.
Well, buddy, I appreciate that. That's all we're trying to do here. We love it. We love doing it with our people, and we love all the people we've met doing it. And
I don't think we thought it was going to take off this much.
Yeah, I really didn't.
So soon, at least.
I thought it was going to kind of stick with our group of friends and be a funny little thing and do a half dozen episodes, and that's all it is. But it's really turned into something more than we really expected, and we're going to keep running with it.
I'll just, have a cake baking contest every once in a while, and you'll be good.
We're doing unicycles next, bud.
Yeah.
I think Wesley's on a cruise right now, so he probably ain't going to hear that for a while.
We're going to know the minute that he gets off that boat.
Definitely. All right, buddy. Well, you have a good night. Be careful heading to work.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, I got one more thing.
Oh, God. Did
you see the ID10T, Rod?
Yes, I laughed pretty hard.
Okay. All right.
That was rich. See ya.